Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Librophiliac Knits. I am your host, Kat, and I'm here to talk about anything I want to talk about. I mean, knitting, but also, spinning, fiber prep, crochet recently, Tunisian crochet, reading. These are the things that I enjoy. And I've decided to share them with you, oh internet people. So, I'm trying another setup today. What do you think? We've got to kick the camera. We've got our quilt, what is that called? Quilt ladder with a knitted and crocheted scrap blanket that my daughter and I made. I thought you'd like to get a little bit better look at it. I can move it around. And my old friend, the silk screen, and then the part of my room that's not messy. So, what are we going to talk about today? I was super concerned that I would have absolutely nothing to talk about, and I have been putting off recording because I didn't have anything done. I hadn't finished any objects. I hadn't finished any. And now I finished something and I realized a whole bunch of other stuff happened sort of in the interim, and I didn't talk about any of that when I could have. And now this could be the longest episode ever. And I don't want to do that to you. So I'm going to break it up into a couple of different sections and we'll kind of go from there. So today, what I'm going to talk about is my earlier in the month acquisitions. I got a couple of things. First time pressing go on purchase of yarn pretty much all year. I finally finished my Gibb sweater, which I will show off to you before it goes home with its new owner, and then the trials and tribulations of my attempt to join a test knit, and maybe a little bit about spinning. And that's going to be it for today. And then, I don't know, maybe next week we can come back, revisit how I was spoiled for Mother's Day, because that is a whole episode in and of itself. So, let's get started. I'm going to start with the things that I purchased, which was mass quantities of yarn. Here's one that is not in crinkly plastic. Look at this beautiful, sort of fuzzy, textured, So this is Valley Yarns by Webbs, from the Webbs website, which I have never purchased from before, so that was new and exciting. It's called Hawley, Hawley, 50% cotton, 30% silk, and 20% nylon in the colorway Persimmon. And I purchased this in order to participate in a test knit for Lima Knits, and so far it's a disaster. I finally talked myself into buying some yarn. I didn't go look in my stash because I wanted something with lots of cotton in it, and adding silk sounds like it would make it luxurious. And it's a DK weight yarn, which is what the pattern calls for, and I have knit myself a gauge swatch. I tried it with wooden needles and metal needles in size US 4, and then I switched down to 3 and kept on going, and guess what? I tried wooden needles and then metal needles again, and it's a disaster. I still can't reach gauge. It's supposed to be 23 stitches over 4 inches on a size US 6, and even in a size US 3 I cannot hit gauge. So this is being retired for something else. I didn't wash it and block it because that's not going to shrink it. That's going to expand it, and I'll have even fewer. I'm super frustrated. I thought that, the fabric, I love the fabric. I did speak to the designer about, can I just fudge it and do the math, because that's what I would normally do. And no, that's not what a test knit is for. If you want to just buy the pattern and fudge it, that's fine. But if you're going to be a tester, then you have to actually hit gauge. So I am digging around in my stash, and my interesting garment will probably end up being striped, or it will force the purchase of more yarn, which is frustrating. This is a summer garment, and I don't have a ton of cotton, and I certainly don't have a ton of cotton in a yarn weight that's less than DK. A lot of the stuff that I have is heavier, you know, more of a worsted weight. So I'm screwed. What else is new? But yarn is so pretty and it's so soft. So I'm really excited. I think I'm going to use that for a crochet dress I'm planning to make, which of course I forgot the name of. Hopefully I can insert it here, and maybe a little picture too. There were 2 dresses by this designer that I was really excited about, and I'm basically reteaching myself to crochet just so that I can make this garment, because usually I was of the opinion that I didn't love crochet because I don't like the way that the fabric looks, but that's not true for these. These look great, and they're dresses, and they're really cute, and they have pockets, so they're hitting all of my buttons. And if I get to have it in this super cute persimmon color, I think that'll be awesome. And you know, a dress out of cotton and silk sounds just as summery and wonderful as the other garment that I'm supposed to be making. I'm not sure how much details I can give away yet, so that's why I'm being very vague about my test knit. But in the meantime, I guess that's a good segue. In the meantime, while I've been teaching myself crochet again, I made a little swatch. It's not very big. I was just following along. You know, the real problem for me is going to be reading the pattern. I still don't really know how to read a crochet pattern. But I was following along on a YouTube video with how to perform the various stitches in crochet. So this is 2 rows of single crochet, 2 in the middle, 2 rows of half double crochet, and then 2 rows of double crochet in the US nomenclature. And then where'd it go? Oh, there. And then a granny square. And this one, I do remember the name of the person who was teaching on YouTube, and it was TL Yarn Crafts. So this is the first granny square I have made since Grandma Bev taught me how in like 1989, 1988, something like that. It's been a very long time, and I'm super excited about it. And it turned out really fun. Like I thought that I just want to keep going. I can make a ton of these and turn it into a blanket, and that would bust through an insane amount of my endless, what do you call it? Red heart acrylic, and that would be great. So I'm feeling really pleased and accomplished with myself for having tried out crochet again. I like how my crochet hooks feel so far. They feel good. They don't snag the yarn in a way that's upsetting or whatever, and it's been really good. Next on my list, and again with the crinkling plastic, I haven't even taken it out yet to really get a good look at it. This is also from Webs, and this will be for my dear friend Betty, aka Courtney. And it is, again, I've got a thing for silk lately. So this is Superwash Merino and Silk Cascade Yarn Heritage Silk. This is a fingering weight. Just hold up for you. Look at that nice sheen. Oh, I'm already getting hair on it. Whoop, there, down. There we go. And it is just black as pitch. Just the way my witchy friend will like it. She asked me to knit her a sweater as Well, sort of as an exchange of goods, as instead of giving her a, she's my tattooist, instead of having a, what's the word I want, a tip, you know, for her excellent work, she asked me if I would knit her a sweater. So she sent me the pattern she wants, but now I need measurements. So that'll be on the list for this year. Probably not this summer, but we'll see how it goes. I've got a lot of things on my plate. I didn't mean to, but I just can't help myself. So those are the two acquisitions I'm going to show you right now that I really was, those are the things that I purchased for myself, despite my no-buy intentions, because they were for specific patterns that I have been planning to make. Well, the black was for a specific pattern I've been planning to make since last year, and it needs to happen. So I might as well get the yarn for it. I looked in stash and I, number one, didn't have enough, and number two, didn't have the right color and weight. And so I thought that this would be a good good use of funds, and it, you know, gave me that little bump of, was it endorphins? No. Dopamine for purchasing something. It's been a while, and for getting something in the mail. I love mail. So that was pretty great. And that brings me, let's see, what do we got left? Let me keep this one short, man. That brings me to my finished object. And I have not woven in ends, but here it is. After months in the making, the Gib sweater. Dun, 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 dun. And I left all my stitch markers on because it's too funny not to share. It's actually the back. See the slightly elevated neck, which is how she dealt with doing short rows, but not messing with the pattern. This is the Gib 2 sweater by Andrea Mowry, and it's knit in Barocco Vintage. Their colorways are just numbers, so I don't remember the number. I will link it to my Ravelry page if you want to have a look. It has this beautiful raglan increasing with a cable, and it is made to the proportions of the human for which it has been knit. I think I'm gonna try it on. I haven't before. It's not for me. But you can see how it fits. Ooh, it's nice. Let me see. Get this. Okay, see, on me it's like a tunic situation, but the arms aren't much too long. It's like having fringes on your sleeve. I actually did the tubular bind off on the sleeve. I did not. I was too impatient at the time of the body. I was in a hurry. I did my other favorite bind off. I used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off just for the knit stitches, and then like a standard just slip over without the yarn over for the purl stitches, which gives you kind of, it's a lot of stretch, but it's not as much stretch, because Jenny's surprisingly stretchy can almost be too much. Sometimes it almost flares. And the fabric, well, let's see if you can see it. Hang on, let me take this off. It's warm in here. We finally reached spring, so it's nice and toasty. All right, let me see. So with Jenny surprisingly stretchy on the knit stitches, you see here, you see this extra sort of knit looking stitch that goes sideways, and then it's a little smaller for the purl. That's the difference. This can be kind of, it doesn't always give me the aesthetic I want. It's a nice finish, don't get me wrong, and this yarn is fuzzy, so it all kind of blends together pretty seamlessly, which is fine. But I've been working on this since last December. So this is a big, exciting finish for me. I am thrilled, thrilled to be done with it. And I way over purchased on my yarn, so I might be able to make my daughter kind of a matchy one. I don't know if they're the kind of couple that would like to do that. This sweater is for my daughter's boyfriend, and we're calling it a commission. He did pay me for time and materials, but mostly materials and not time. I did the math, and it I weighed the yarn that I had, and then I knit for 15 minutes, and I was a little distracted and, you know, kind of the usual. And then I weighed the yarn again, and I did the math from that, you know. I think I knit like 3 ounces of yarn in 15 minutes, so I called it 12 ounces an hour, and then did the math on how much this sucker weighs. We called it about approximately 50 hours of work. So that that's how much it costs, or that's how much time it takes me to knit a men's size sweater. Whether or not that's entirely accurate, you know, there's a lot of picking up and putting down with knitting, at least for me. Especially when I'm doing it at work, I have to be able to just set it down and run away at a moment's notice. You know, if anything is going on, I have to be able to toss my yarn and not think about it, you know, like, oh, and rough. Just, you know, and that's how it is. So I am super excited to be done with this. I don't think I'm actually going to block it because he wants it right away. I'll just tell him the first time that he wants to wash it, like, to bring it back, and we'll block it to, like, then I can block it, like I can soak it and block it, and because I don't want it to get stretched out. It's a little bit longer. I think it's actually longer than it should be. It might eventually steal it back and redo the hem. It's just, he said that he likes it, but every time he puts it on, it has like a big fold at the front. And he says he likes it if he can lift his arms and it doesn't pull the sweater up until, you know, his midriff is exposed. It's definitely not doing that, but it seems like it might be a little too long. So we'll see. We can revisit. In the meantime, I just have a couple of ends to weave in, and then I can present it, which is also one of the reasons that I rushed back here to record, because he's here and I want to give it to him. I'm impatient, but I also don't want to like give up the sweater and then not have said anything about it, because this was such an intensive sort of labor of love. Look at this. It's so fuzzy. And so many pearls. I think I have done, I mean, I don't know how to Norwegian purl, but I've done every kind of purling that I know how to do on this sweater. Just, you know, trying to keep my hands from getting too tired or bored, whatever, or painful. So this is it. Gib 2, Andrea Mowry. On the camera, you can see it. I'm gonna tell you a secret. I messed up right here. Do you see it? This line right here. I don't know what I did, but I was well past it. And it's one of those things where you can't really see it in person. I can see it because I'm looking for it now, but I'm not gonna tell him. So you don't tell him either. The back looks perfect. Maybe I'll make him wear it backwards. Will he even notice? The next two tell on one side. If I don't put in a front and back indicator, he might end up wearing it backwards half the time anyway, because hard to tell. When I did the hat as a gauge swatch, man, I'm fidgety, aren't I? I'm sorry. When I did the gauge swatch, which I made a hat, you know, according to the recommendation of Elizabeth Zimmerman, I messed it up on that too, and I couldn't see it in person, but I could see it in the photo. But when I showed it to him, I was like, okay, so here it is, you know, with this, do you like this fabric or this fabric or this fabric? And he was like, I'm really sorry, I hope you won't be offended, but I can't tell the difference. And I was like, cool, I'll just do what I want then. So happily, he is totally unaware. the things that might upset me as the knitter. So that is great. I'm so excited that that's done and that gift can be given. Yeah, I'm really pleased. All right. So I have a couple things left to talk about, and then we'll be done for today. What do we got? Oh yes, this ironically is turning out to be sort of a gauge swatch for my test knit because I have a lot more of this yarn. It is a New Boo or True Boo, might be a little bit of both by accident because I wasn't really paying attention to the fact that there are multiple versions, but Lion brand New Boo is 100% lyocell, and True Boo is the bamboo version. But anyway, this, I don't know if you remember this from previously. I think I've spoken of it. I am designing myself a tank top, not unlike what I'm wearing now, and currently in a totally different format than what you would have seen before because I ripped this sucker out all the way back to the original. This is the neckband. So right now I'm working on the back, and the front, I had the front down just as far, if not farther, and I tore it all out. The way that I decided to design this, because I thought it would be so much fun, is to start with a cable and make that so that it had a nice drape around the neck, and then to pick up I-cord to be the armhole edging. So I'm sort of doing this in the inverse way that you would normally do it, and then I am right now creating the back just flat, and so at the end of each row I pick up another stitch from the I-cord and incorporate it and keep going. And I realized when I was trying this on initially that it's real close to my skin color. I might need to put a little like stripe. Well, I mean, either I can go for as scandalous as possible and make it look like, put some flowers so that they look like pasties because it's gonna look like I'm naked, or put a stripe or like a fake bandeau, something just across the breast area. It's for me, so I don't care. I'll figure it out. But it's entertaining to think how people will react if I just leave it so that it looks like I'm naked all the time. Those are the things that I have been working on, friends. I also wanted to point out that it was a year ago in May that I started this whole endeavor. So I am now 1 year of podcasting, YouTube, vlogging, whatever you want to call it, YouTubing. I'm 1 year in. I don't even have 12 episodes, so I haven't even managed to do it once a month, but that's because I have a real life and it's been very busy. I'm gonna cut it off there and say I can't wait to record again so that I have, more things to talk about. I'm super excited to share the stuff that I've been working on with you, and most of all, I am so relieved to have finished that sweater. It has taken me 6 months. And yes, I've gotten distracted and done other stuff in the meantime, but this last month or so, well, no, that's not true. Since March, I really wanted to especially work on it since the March to May knit along for Andrew Mowry, who is the designer of the sweater, is happening right now, and maybe I can win a prize for completing the sweater that I was going to work on anyway, because it gave me a timeline. Like, I do well with deadlines, and so it gave me a deadline, and I've completed it within that time frame, and now it's off my plate, and I can move on to other things. So that's really exciting. Also, I only had like 56 grams of yarn out last month because I wasn't counting this until it was all finished. So now I'm really gonna be like off to the races. I'm so excited. I did purchase some yarn, so I guess that kind of counteracts it, but still, as far as using things that I had, I'm really feeling very accomplished because it was about 700 grams of yarn. It's a lot. So, all right, my friends, thanks so much for watching. If you want to support me in this endeavor, give me a like and subscribe. Tell your friends about your nerdy internet friend who chatters on about random stuff. Thanks for watching. Bye.